Does anyone here speak Chinese? No one! This is an outrage!
For 70 years, the Grand Majestic Hotel has hidden a secret worth empires. Tonight, a furious Chinese millionaire arrives with an ancient trunk, and the lies begin to collapse. Only one person can unlock the truth: a 10-year-old girl, the forgotten daughter of a maid. One translation from her lips could set fire to everything: power, legacy, and the world's most dangerous secret. The Grand Majestic Hotel was a symbol of history and wealth. Its huge marble lobby had tall, arched windows and a giant crystal chandelier that cast a soft light on the painted ceiling. The air, smelling of fresh flowers and polish, was a sign of money and perfect order. But on this Tuesday, that order was about to be broken. At the center of the chaos was Madame Jiawei, a powerful name in the business world. Here, though, her frustration was met with blank, polite smiles. She was in her late 60s, with perfect black hair and a bright jade-green silk dress. She spoke rapid, fluent Mandarin, her voice sharp with annoyance. But the front desk staff, trained in many languages, didn't speak the one she needed. Off to the side stood 10-year-old Lily, a girl with honey-blonde hair and bright blue eyes, holding a drawing pad. Her mother, Sarah, a housekeeper with kind, tired eyes, stood nearby in her crisp navy uniform. Lily was there because a playdate was canceled, and she was fascinated by the hotel's secret life. She knew its back hallways and all the staff gossip. Now, she was watching a very public misunderstanding, and she understood every single word Madame Jiawei said. Part 2. The Important Guest. Behind the front desk, the mood was tense. Anna, a young employee, whispered to George, the head concierge. "I've never seen a list of demands like this," Anna whispered, tapping her screen. "She wants all the white roses removed from her floor. She says the smell is unlucky. And the thermostat must be exactly 22.7 degrees Celsius. George, a man who always looked politely concerned, straightened his tie. "Tomlinson is on it. The florists are replacing them with orchids. What else? She's demanding that only one specific maid cleans her room and no one else is allowed in her suite," Anna said, shocked. "Who is this woman?" "Her name is Madame Jiawei," George said quietly. "And Mr. Davenport said she's one of the most important guests we'll have all year. Everything has to be perfect. No exceptions." Just then, a black car pulled up. Out came Madame Jiawei, her face hidden behind large sunglasses. Her luggage included 2 expensive suitcases and a large old wooden trunk with brass handles. The trunk looked ancient, as if it had traveled across oceans long ago. It was a piece of another time, a piece of an unknown story. Part 3. Lost in Translation. Madame Jiawei gave the doorman a small nod and spoke to her driver in sharp Mandarin. The doorman smiled blankly, hoping it was a polite thank you. She pointed to the old trunk, then to the lobby, speaking again with a firm tone. Inside, George saw her coming. "She's here," he muttered to Anna, a new wave of stress in his voice. "Just remember, be helpful. No matter what." Anna put on a professional smile. "Good afternoon, madam. Welcome to the Grand Majestic. May I have your name, please?" Madame Jiawei took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were dark and tired. She spoke in firm Mandarin. Anna's smile disappeared. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. I don't understand. Do you speak any English?" A flash of annoyance crossed Madame Jiawei's face. How could a top New York hotel not have someone who spoke a language used by over 1 billion people? She took out a notebook and opened it to a page with a name written in perfect English. Lin Xiao. "Ah, yes, Madame Lin," Anna said, relieved. She typed into her computer. "We've been expecting you. I have your reservation right here, and—" "Oh." Anna's face fell. The smile vanished, replaced by panic. "Oh dear, it seems there has been a mistake. You are scheduled to arrive tomorrow, not today." Madame Jiawei understood the sudden change in her tone. She pointed to her watch, then tapped the counter. her voice getting sharper. She was early, and she needed her room. Anna, panicking, started speaking slowly and loudly, as if that would fix the language barrier. "Your room is for tomorrow, tomorrow." Cold anger flashed in Madame Jiawei's eyes. She pulled out her phone, found her confirmation email, and held it up. The date was clearly visible, August 27th. Today. The rest of the email was a wall of Chinese characters Anna couldn't read. Part 4. A Mother's Choice. In the staff break room, Sarah, Lily's mother, finished her lunch. She was tired from a long shift. Lily sat across from her, busy with her drawing pad. The door opened, and 2 other maids hurried in, buzzing with gossip. "Did you see her?" said Maria. "The Chinese lady in the lobby? She looks like royalty, but she's been standing there for an hour. They messed up her booking." "I heard she's furious," added Chloe. "Keeps talking in Chinese, and nobody knows what she's saying." Sarah sighed. "Poor woman. It's hard enough to travel so far without having problems." Lily looked up. "Why doesn't someone just talk to her in Chinese?" she asked. Chloe laughed. "Honey, we're maids in New York, not translators at the UN." "I do," Lily said, so quietly only her mother heard. It was true. Her father, a diplomat, had spent 4 years in Beijing, and Lily had learned the language easily. It was a beautiful but sad reminder of a life they had lost. "That's nice, sweetie," Sarah said, stroking her daughter's hair. She knew it was best to stay out of it. Her job wasn't secure, but as they walked toward the staff exit, Lily stopped. She saw Madame Jiawei sitting in a large armchair, her face a mask of lonely frustration. A concierge offered her water, and Madame Jiawei shook her head, speaking with an emotion Lily recognized. It wasn't just anger. It was desperation. "Mom," Lily whispered, her grip tightening on Sarah's hand. "She's not asking for a drink. She's asking for a phone. Her cell phone isn't working, and she needs to call her son. She's scared." Sarah felt torn. Her training told her to walk away. Her job, her home, everything depended on her staying invisible. But the mother in her saw the fear in Jiawei's eyes and the empathy in her own child's. She decided to do something she wasn't supposed to do. "All right," Sarah sighed, her heart beating faster. "But you let me do the talking, you just translate." Part 5. An Unexpected Voice. Stepping from the service hallway into the grand lobby was like walking onto a stage. Sarah, in her simple maid's uniform, and Lily in her jeans, were a world away from the glamorous guests. Staff members gave them questioning looks. They weren't supposed to be here. Sarah took a deep breath and led Lily toward the lonely woman. As they got closer, Madame Jiawei looked up, her expression expecting another useless conversation. Sarah knelt down slightly. "Excuse me, ma'am," she said softly. Lily took a small step forward. She was nervous, but the woman's sadness was stronger than her fear. She looked into Madame Jiawei's eyes, bowed her head slightly as her father had taught her, and spoke in clear, perfect Mandarin. "Hello, madam. My mother and I would like to help you." The world seemed to stop. The hard mask of anger on Madame Jiawei's face cracked. Her eyes widened. Shock, confusion, and then a wave of huge relief washed over her. She leaned forward and gently took Lily's small hand. Her voice was a whisper, thick with unshed tears. You speak Chinese?" Lily nodded. "Yes," she replied, then switched back to Mandarin. "I lived in Beijing for 4 years." The tears in Madame Jiawei's eyes finally fell. She held on to Lily's hand like a lifeline. The words began to pour out, a flood of frustration and worry. Lily listened carefully, her face serious as she prepared to translate. Part 6. An Angry Manager. The nearby staff watched, confused. The difficult Chinese guest was now holding hands with the maid's daughter, crying and talking a mile a minute. After a few moments, Lily turned to her mother. She says, "Thank goodness," Lily translated. "She's been trying to tell everyone that her reservation was changed last week by her son. He sent an email, but it must have gone to the wrong person. Her phone won't connect to the network here, and she needs to call him. She was very worried. Sarah looked at Madame Jiawei and no longer saw a demanding guest. She saw a grandmother, lost and alone in a foreign country. "Of course," Sarah said warmly. "Please tell her she can use my phone." When Lily translated this, Madame Jiawei's face showed deep gratitude. She took Sarah's cheap cell phone and dialed a number. While she was on the phone, Mr. Davenport, the hotel manager, finally appeared. He was a tall, thin man in an expensive suit, and his face was stormy. "Sarah, what is the meaning of this?" he demanded in a sharp hiss. "Why are you and your child bothering our guest? You know the rules." Before Sarah could apologize, Madame Jiawei ended her call. She handed the phone back to Sarah with a smile, then stood up and faced Mr. Davenport. She spoke in Mandarin, her voice no longer desperate, but filled with cold, powerful authority. Lily translated without missing a beat. She says, "This woman and her child have shown me more courtesy and skill in 5 minutes than your entire staff has in over an hour. They are the only reason I haven't walked out of your hotel." Mr. Davenport stared, his mouth opening and closing silently. He looked from the powerful Madame Jiawei to the little blonde girl who had just delivered the verbal slap. The housekeeper, who was supposed to be invisible, was now at the center of the day's biggest problem. Madame Jiawei spoke again, a short command. Lily looked at Mr. Davenport. "She says she will only speak through me from now on, and she would like to be shown to her suite. Immediately." Part 7. A New Arrangement. The Magnolia Suite was one of the best in the hotel. Mr. Davenport, now sweating, had personally walked them up, giving Madame Jiawei the upgrade in a desperate attempt to fix things. Sarah and Lily stood awkwardly near the door. Their job was done, but Madame Jiawei had insisted they come with her. Madame Jiawei looked around, her expert eye missing nothing. She then turned her attention to her luggage, especially the old wooden trunk. She spoke in Mandarin to Lily. Lily turned to her mother. "She wants to thank you, Mom. She says she was treated like she was invisible or stupid. You were the first person to see she just needed help." "I'm glad we could help," Sarah said, blushing. Madame Jiawei said something else, her gaze soft as she looked at Lily. She says, "I have a gift," Lily translated. "A bridge between two worlds is a rare and powerful thing." The older woman then took a thick envelope from her purse and tried to press it into Sarah's hands. "No, please, I can't accept that," Sarah said. It was against hotel policy and could get her fired. Lily translated, and Madame Jiawei's expression became stern. "She insists," Lily said. "It is not a tip. It is a gift of gratitude. To refuse a gift given from the heart is an insult." Sarah reluctantly took the heavy envelope. Just then, Mr. Davenport knocked and entered. "Is everything to your satisfaction, Madame Jiawei?" he asked, his voice full of fake charm. Madame Jiawei ignored him. She spoke to Lily in a softer voice. Lily listened, then turned to Mr. Davenport. "Madame Jiawei would like my mother to be the only person who cleans this suite. She also requests that I am allowed to be here to help her communicate. She says she will pay us for our time separately from the hotel." Mr. Davenport looked like he had swallowed a lemon. A maid's daughter as a personal interpreter for a VIP guest? It broke a dozen rules. But one look at Madame Jiawei's unyielding face told him he had no choice. "That is highly unusual," he said through gritted teeth. "But we will make an exception. Sarah, you are temporarily reassigned." He gave a tight smile and backed out of the room. Part 8. The Ghost of the Past. Once he was gone, Madame Jiawei sighed, the tension finally leaving her. She gestured for Sarah and Lily to sit on the sofa and began to unpack the wooden trunk. It was not filled with clothes, but with silk-wrapped parcels, old books, and yellowed documents. She unwrapped one parcel to reveal a beautiful porcelain vase. "This belonged to my grandmother," she said in Mandarin, her voice thick with memory. Lily translated, "I could not trust it to a shipping company." "It's beautiful," Sarah said. "Everything in this trunk is a clue." Madame Jiawei said. "A piece of a story that was broken long ago." She looked at Lily. "I did not come to New York for a vacation, little one. I came to find something that was stolen from my family. Something that was stolen right here on this very land." She paused, her voice dropping to a serious whisper. "This hotel, the Grand Majestic, was built on a foundation of lies, and I have come to reclaim the truth." Lily translated the powerful words. Sarah's eyes widened. This was no ordinary guest. They had stumbled into something far bigger, a story of history and injustice hidden within the walls of the hotel. And somehow, her little girl was now at the very center of it all. Part 9. A Stolen Dream. That evening, the suite felt more like a historian's office than a hotel room. Documents and old photos were spread across the coffee table. Jiawei picked up a faded black-and-white photograph. It showed a young, beautiful Chinese woman standing in front of an older building. "This was my grandmother, Lin Meiling," Jiawei said softly. "She came to America in 1936. She was smart and fearless. She built a business empire when women, especially Chinese women, were expected to be quiet." Jiawei pointed to the building in the photo. "She owned this entire block. She had a dream to build a magnificent hotel here, a place that would be a bridge between East and West." She fell silent, but a war came, and with it, fear and suspicion. Her American business partners, men she trusted, saw an opportunity. They used the anti-Asian feelings of the time to cheat her. They forged papers and threatened her, forcing her to sell her land for almost nothing. Lily felt a knot of anger in her stomach. "That's not fair," she whispered. Jiawei gave a sad smile. "No, she returned to Hong Kong with nothing. The men who cheated her built this hotel on her land. They even used some of her architectural plans, but erased her from the story completely." She looked at Lily, her eyes intense. "For 70 years, my family has lived with this story. Now it is my turn. I will not let my grandmother's legacy be forgotten." "How will you prove it?" Lily asked in Mandarin. "The proof is hidden somewhere in this hotel," Jiawei said. "My grandmother was clever. Before she left, she hid a collection of documents, deeds, and a signed confession from one of the partners who felt guilty. She called it her heart box. I believe it is hidden in a secret room, a part of the original building that was sealed away when the new hotel was built." Part 10. The Secret in the Basement. The next day, Sarah arrived for her special assignment feeling nervous. She found Lily and Madame Jiawei already bent over old blueprints. "The original building plans should be in the hotel archives," Jiawei was saying in Mandarin. "The archives are in the basement," Sarah offered, "but it's kept locked. Only senior staff have a key." Jiawei looked at her. "Your Mr. Davenport would never give us permission." "But the head of maintenance?" "Sal, he's a kind man," Sarah said, thinking aloud. "He has a master key. He's worked here for 30 years. He knows every secret of this building." Later, Sarah, accidentally, bumped into Sal in a service hallway, offering him a box of homemade cookies. After some friendly chat, she mentioned Madame Jiawei's interest in the hotel's history and the original blueprints. Sal loved talking about the hotel's past. "Oh, sure," he said. "They built right over some of the old foundation. There are all sorts of sealed-off storerooms down in the sub-basement." He explained the archives were locked up tight by Mr. Davenport. Seeing Sarah's disappointed face and thinking of the sweet little girl who had baked for him, Sal lowered his voice. "Tell you what, I have to do a systems check in the basement tonight around 10. If your guest happens to be down there, I might just have the wrong key on my ring for a minute or two." That night, they took a service elevator to the basement. It was a maze of dimly lit halls and humming pipes. Sal, with a dramatic wink, opened the heavy door to the archives and stood guard outside. The room was cold and smelled of old paper. They worked in silence, their flashlights cutting through the dark. Lily, being small, squeezed behind some shelves and found a collection of old leather books. "I found something," she whispered. It wasn't a business ledger. It was a journal. The handwriting inside was elegant, a mix of English and Chinese characters. Jiawei rushed to her side. "Meilings," she breathed. It was her grandmother's handwriting. They heard Sal give a soft cough from the hallway, a signal. They had to go. Jiawei tucked the large book under her coat. It was a huge risk. If they were caught, it would be theft. As they hurried back to the elevator, none of them noticed the small security camera high in the corner, its tiny red light blinking silently. Part 11. The threat back in the suite, Jiawei opened the journal. The pages were filled with her grandmother's elegant writing. "Listen to this," Jiawei said, translating a passage for Sarah. October 1950. "The wolves are circling. Davenport Sr. and Philip smile to my face, but I see the greed in their eyes. They use the political climate as a weapon. They think a Chinese woman is easy to scare." She turned a few more pages. "Here, I have made my preparations. They can steal my property, but they cannot steal my truth. The Phoenix Wing will remain my secret. I have sealed it not just with brick and mortar, but with a puzzle. It will wait for someone with a clever mind and a pure heart." "The Phoenix Wing," Sarah breathed. "That must be the secret room." Jiawei found a hand-drawn sketch of the hotel's 5th floor. One section had a space that didn't exist on the modern layout. In the corner of this space, her grandmother had drawn a small phoenix. "It's here," Lily said, pointing. "On this floor." Their excitement was cut short by a sharp knock. Sarah opened the door to see Mr. Davenport. His face was cold with anger, and 2 large security guards stood behind him. "A word, please. In the hall," he said, his voice a quiet threat. In the hallway, his polite mask was gone. "Do not play games with me," he hissed. "I spent the last hour reviewing security footage. I saw you entering the archives. What did you take?" Sarah's blood ran cold. I don't know what you're talking about." "This is your one and only warning," Davenport said, stepping closer. "Your job is to keep our guest happy. It does not mean helping her investigate my family's hotel. You are a maid, Sarah. Do not forget your place. One more mistake, and you will be out on the street. Is that understood?" Sarah could only nod, unable to speak. Part 12. The New Neighbors. Sarah went back into the suite, her legs trembling. "He knows," she said, her voice shaking. "He saw us on the cameras. He threatened to fire me." Jiawei's expression hardened. "He is a coward, like his grandfather. He is afraid." The next day, 2 new guests checked into the suite directly across the hall. They introduced themselves as Mr. Peters and Ms. Vance, architectural historians. Lily ran into them in the hallway. "Oh, you must be the little translator for the Chinese lady," Ms. Vance said, her eyes studying Lily with an unsettling intensity. "How fascinating." Feeling uneasy, Lily hurried back to the suite. "There are new people across the hall," she announced. "They say they're historians, but they asked a lot of questions about you." Jiawei moved to the peephole of her door and watched them. Her body tensed. "They are not historians," she said, her voice low and hard. "The man, his name is not Peters, it is Phillips. His grandfather was Warren Phillips, another of the men who betrayed my grandmother. The wolves have sent their pup to watch me." The danger was no longer a story from the past. It was right across the hall. Part 13. The Dragon and the Phoenix. A new, colder tension settled over the 5th floor. Jiawei and Lily spent hours studying the journal. "Here," Jiawei said one afternoon, pointing to a passage. "The Phoenix guards the entrance, but only a dragon can open the door." "It's a riddle," Lily said. "They are important symbols," Jiawei confirmed. "Balance, power, and grace." She looked at the sketch again. "The Phoenix must guard the entrance, but what is the dragon?" Their investigation was stuck. They were prisoners in their luxurious suite, watched by their enemies. One afternoon, Lily went to the gift shop. In the lobby, she saw Mr. Phillips and Ms. Vance huddled with Mr. Davenport. They looked like partners in a crime, not guests with a manager. Lily hid behind a large plant. She couldn't hear every word, but she caught pieces. "No direct proof," Phillips was saying, But the old woman is looking for something. We need to know what she's found. We need to get inside that room, Ms. Vance said sharply. Find out what she knows. Lily slipped away, her mind racing. They were planning to break in. She burst into the suite and told them what she'd heard. Jiawei listened calmly. I expected this. They are becoming desperate. She walked over to her old trunk and took out a small carved wooden box. Inside, on faded velvet, was a jade pendant shaped like a coiled dragon. The dragon, Lily whispered in awe. My grandmother saved one half of a pair, Jiawei explained. This dragon was hers. Its mate, the phoenix, was a gift to her most trusted partner, James Thompson. He was the third partner, the one who felt guilty. According to her journal, the phoenix pendant is the key to the secret room. We must find it. Part 14. The Gala. They had to create a distraction to explore the 5th floor. The annual Heritage Society Gala is tomorrow night, Sarah suggested. It's the biggest event of the year. The entire staff, including Mr. Davenport, will be busy on the 2nd floor. It was the perfect opportunity. The next night, the hotel was a whirlwind of glittering gowns and tuxedos. On the 5th floor, it was eerily quiet. Jiawei, Sarah, and Lily slipped out of the suite. Following the sketch from the journal, they went to a section of the corridor wall. It was covered in elegant wallpaper. They searched for a hidden switch, tapping and pressing. Nothing. Maybe the riddle is the clue, Lily whispered. The phoenix guards the entrance. Her eyes scanned the hallway. At the end of the corridor was a large, antique Chinese vase on a pedestal. Woven into its painted design, almost hidden, was a small, beautiful phoenix. I found it, Lily breathed. She reached out and pressed the painted bird. They heard a soft click. A section of the wallpapered wall shifted, revealing a thin, dark opening. Inside was a narrow, dusty passageway ending at a solid wooden door. In the center of the door was a keyhole carved in the shape of a bird. A phoenix. We need the phoenix pendant, Jiawei said urgently. Disappointed, they slipped back into the hallway, closing the secret panel. As they returned to their suite, Chloe, the resentful maid, emerged from the shadows. She had seen everything. A greedy look entered her eyes. She knew secrets in a place like the Grand Majestic could be valuable. Part 15. The Betrayal. The next morning, Chloe went directly to Mr. Davenport's office. Mr. Phillips was there, too. I have information, Chloe said nervously. About Madame Jiawei. Last night I saw her and the maid sneak into a secret door in the wall on the 5th floor. Davenport and Phillips exchanged a look of alarm. The legend of the sealed wing was real. Thank you, Chloe, Phillips said smoothly, pressing several $100 bills into her hand. Your loyalty is noted. Once she was gone, Phillips paced the room. She found it. After all these years, she actually found it. What do we do? Davenport asked, his face pale. She can't get in without the key, Phillips said, his expression turning to ice. But we need to know what else she's found. Tonight, the hotel is hosting a charity dinner for the mayor. You will invite Madame Jiawei as the guest of honor. It's an invitation she cannot refuse. While she is downstairs, someone will search her room. Part 16. The Guardian. A formal invitation arrived at the suite. It's a trap, Jiawei said. They want me out of the room. Then you can't go, Sarah said. On the contrary, Jiawei replied with a cunning smile. I must go, but the journal will not be here when they search. That evening, Jiawei dressed in an elegant gown. Before she left, she handed the precious journal to Sarah. Keep this safe. Do not leave it in your locker. Take it home with you. Sarah nodded, tucking the heavy book into her oversized bag. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She was its guardian. While Jiawei was at dinner, 2 men from security turned the suite upside down. They were swift and silent, but they found nothing. The journal was gone. When Jiawei returned to her ransacked suite, she surveyed the damage with cold anger. They had found nothing, but they had declared war. The 5th floor of the Grand Majestic became a quiet battleground. The key, they all knew, was the lost phoenix pendant. Part 17. A Voice from the Past. The task of finding the pendant fell to Sarah. During her breaks, she went to the public library, searching old city records for any mention of James Thompson. Finally, she found it. A small obituary from 1978. James Thompson was survived by one daughter, Eleanor Thompson Price. Modern records showed that Eleanor, now in her late 80s, was still alive and lived in a retirement community upstate. It was a long shot. Jiawei dialed the number. Using Lily as her interpreter, she explained why she was calling. After a few agonizing minutes, a new voice came on the line. It was thin, but clear and steady. It was Eleanor. "I have been waiting for this call for 50 years, the old woman said, her voice trembling. "I knew this day would come. My father, he was never proud of what they did. It haunted him his entire life." Eleanor explained everything. She remembered Lin Meiling and the arguments between her father and his partners. Most importantly, she remembered the pendant. "After your grandmother fled, my father tried to send her a letter of confession," Eleanor explained. "It was returned. He kept it, along with the phoenix pendant. He made me promise that if anyone from the Lin family ever came looking for the truth, I would help them. It was his dying wish." Tears streamed down Jiawei's face as she listened. "The pendant?" she asked, her voice thick with hope. "Do you still have it?" "Yes," Eleanor said softly. "It is in a safe deposit box. It belongs to you." The next day, a small insured package arrived. Inside, in a velvet box, was the phoenix pendant. It was a perfect match to Jiawei's dragon. It was the key. Part 18. The Phoenix Wing. That night, they returned to the secret panel. Jiawei placed the phoenix pendant into the keyhole on the hidden door. It fit perfectly. She turned it, and with a deep groan, the door swung open. The air that came out was cool and musty, thick with the smell of time. Sarah's flashlight revealed a suite of rooms, perfectly preserved from the 1940s. It was a masterpiece, with silk wall coverings, carved rosewood screens, and elegant furniture. Over a grand fireplace was a magnificent portrait of Lin Meiling, looking out with the same proud, intelligent eyes as her granddaughter. "She was here," Jiawei whispered, touching the frame. This was her dream. Behind the portrait, they found a small wall safe. Jiawei entered a combination from her grandmother's journal. The safe opened. Inside was a single large box, the heart box. She lifted it out and opened the lid. It was filled with documents, original property deeds in her grandmother's name, forged transfer documents, and on top, a handwritten signed letter from James Thompson. It was his confession, a detailed account of the conspiracy, naming Davenport Sr. and Warren Phillips as the masterminds. They had it. The undeniable proof. Part 19. Justice. Armed with the heart box, Jiawei's lawyer demanded a meeting with the hotel's board of directors. The meeting took place in the hotel's most elegant conference room. Mr. Davenport and Mr. Phillips were there, their faces grim. Jiawei entered the room not as a guest, but as a warrior, with her legal team, Sarah and Lily right behind her. "Injustice does not have an expiration date," Jiawei stated, with Lily translating each powerful sentence. She laid out the proof on the long, polished table. "This is a baseless accusation." Davenport slammed his hand on the table. Just then, the doors opened. A frail, elderly woman entered, leaning on a cane. It was Eleanor Thompson Price. "It is not a fantasy," Eleanor said, her voice clear. "I am here to confirm that every word Madame Jiawei says is true. The Grand Majestic Hotel was built on theft and racism." The boardroom fell into a stunned silence. Jiawei then stated her demands: a public apology, the preservation of the Phoenix Wing as a historic site, and the return of the 25% ownership stake that was stolen from her grandmother with full payment for 70 years of lost profits. The board, facing a legal and public relations disaster, had no choice. The vote was nearly unanimous. Mr. Davenport was fired on the spot. He and Phillips left the room in disgrace. After 70 long years, Jiawei had won. Part 20, A New Beginning. In the weeks that followed, the Grand Majestic began a huge change. Under Jiawei's guidance as a new part owner, the hotel started to become the place her grandmother had dreamed of. The official history was rewritten, and a magnificent bronze plaque honoring Lin Mei-ling as the hotel's visionary founder was installed in the lobby. The Phoenix Wing was beautifully restored and opened to the public as a museum. Sarah's life changed completely. Jiawei offered her a new position as the curator of the Phoenix Wing, a respected manager with a salary that meant she would never have to worry about rent again. And Lily, the little girl with the gift of language, became the hotel's youngest star. She spent her afternoons after school in the Phoenix Wing, charming visitors with her fluent Mandarin and her incredible story. Jiawei established a full college scholarship fund in Lily's name. One autumn afternoon, Sarah stood with Jiawei in the restored Phoenix Wing, looking at the portrait of Lin Mei-ling. "She would be so proud of you," Sarah said softly. "She would be proud of us all," Jiawei corrected her. She knelt to look Lily in the eye. "And especially you, little one. You were the key that unlocked everything, not the pendant. Your voice." Lily smiled. A story that had been lost in silence had been found again, all because one person had stopped to listen, and in that simple act, a great injustice was finally made right.